what I really want to point out are the rents per month. Now, the rents per month, which means that my rental properties here in Alabama pay much less than if I had rental properties in Alabama.
When life knocks you down, and life will knock you down, try to land on your back. Because if you can look up, you can get up. Welcome to Fire with Dr. Ninja Turtle.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Fire with Dr. Ninja Turtle. How did I get to such a low cost of living area so that I am able to save so much money and live on such a low income that I am able to invest an enormous amount of money and use an enormous amount of money to pay down my debts? Well, before I retired, I looked at the states that don't tax your pension because I'm on a federal government pension. My wife also has a state of Maryland pension, but that's not considered in any of my finances. I only deal with my federal government pension and my investments. So what I'm trying to say is I looked at a website like this that had different places that tax your pension, and it listed states that did not tax your pension. And so Alabama was one of the states that did not tax your pension. What it says here is retiring to Alabama can be worthwhile for folks looking to retain their pension. And then it talks about what kinds of government pensions you can have in Alabama. Now, there are other states that I could have moved to. However, my wife is from Maryland and she wanted to be able to get back to see her family. So we chose something along the East Coast where we could just drive back to Maryland. And so we also wanted someplace that was far enough south where we didn't have snow anymore. I ride a motorcycle and I wanted to ride my motorcycle more throughout the year. The first $6,000 of retirement income received by anyone 65 years or older. Now, I'm not 65, but I'm getting there. And so once I get to be 65 or older, the first $6,000 of retirement income is tax exempt. And then they just passed a law, which I didn't know about here in Alabama, that says it's going to go up to $12,000 as of January 1st, 2026. Alabama also doesn't tax Social Security benefits. So that's another big plus. So I am on a pension that does not get taxed by Alabama. Once I get Social Security, that won't get taxed by Alabama. And then once I'm 65, because I won't take Social Security until I'm 66 and a half, but once I'm 65, I could pull money from my IRA or from my Roth, which all of that would not be taxed by Alabama. At least the first 6,000 or 12,000 of my 401k traditional pre-tax accounts, of which I am placing a lot of my teaching income into pre-tax accounts for one school, because that school does not allow me to pull money out while I'm working for that school. I have another school that does allow for in-service withdrawals, meaning I can pull money out from my retirement account at that school while I'm still working for that school. And I have pulled money out in the past to buy real estate. So I use whatever benefits are available to me. So I max out one 401k with one school, and then I have a 403b, which is considered a different type of retirement account by the IRS. So you can max out $30,000 in each of the two different accounts. And that's what I do. I look at all the laws and I learn what the rules are, and then I look to maximize my income based on the federal government laws. Please like and subscribe to this channel so that I can get monetized and donate all of my income to charity. Because I'm financially free, I do not need YouTube income. YouTube is a hobby in my retirement, and that's what I'm using it for. as a way to help out people in my community, specifically the homeless. Once we chose Alabama as our state, we wanted to see what's the difference, and this is where I do geo arbitrage and I make most of my gains. Moving from Maryland to Alabama gave me a 30% raise because I made the same teaching income in Maryland that I make here in Alabama. The schools just pay me a certain amount for a class. It does not depend on where I teach from. So I received an immediate 30% raise by moving to Alabama for my teaching income. And so what I have here is I used to live in Silver Spring, Maryland. That's not the place I exactly moved from when I left Maryland, but that's where I spent most of my time in Maryland. Then Montgomery, Alabama, which is not where I actually live in Alabama, but it's the closest one that they could find here. But I used this website, Numbeo, to compare the two different states and two different cities. What it shows here are rent prices in Montgomery, Alabama are 52% lower than in Silver Spring, Maryland. Restaurant prices 21% lower than in Silver Spring, Maryland. Grocery prices 43% lower. So my cost of living is low, which means that my pension goes a lot farther here in Alabama than it did in Maryland. And I use that to my advantage. Whatever I can save down here in Alabama, I put towards my investing and towards my retirement. Just to be fair, not everything in Alabama is less than in Maryland. As you can see, basic electricity for a 915 square foot apartment is much higher here in Alabama than it is in Silver Spring, Maryland. Having a fitness club, if you join a gym, it's going to be more expensive here than it is in Silver Spring, Maryland. But most of the items overall are less in Alabama. One thing that I want to point out is that the rent per month in Alabama is much less than it is in Silver Spring, Maryland. And what this translates to is that my rentals in Alabama make much less money than they do in Silver Spring, Maryland, if I could afford something in Silver Spring, Maryland. So they cost a lot more, but they also rent for a lot more. So I have rental properties here, but they do not bring in a lot of money because, as you can see, a rental is 36% less. A one bedroom outside the city center is 34% less. And a 3-bedroom inside the city center is 57% less. I make less than half in rentals in Alabama than you would make in Silver Spring, Maryland. The difference is I can't afford anything in Silver Spring, Maryland. But I just wanted to point that out, that this is not about making a lot of money down here. What it is about is saving on taxes and saving on all the other expenses except electricity. So we are going to get our windows replaced in this house. We have an older house, so that we save on our electric bill. Going back to the original article that I started with, I really think that you should look for all the states that either do not tax your pension or do not tax your retirement income. For example, Florida or Washington State or Arizona. All of those are states that have some good tax benefits for retirees. I could have moved to Arizona, but Arizona is too far to get back to the state of Maryland. So that's why I'm in Alabama, but we moved to the south part of Alabama so that we don't have snow or ice like the top part of Alabama, which still can get some snow or ice in the winter. So geo-arbitrage is the way to go if you want to maximize your income and be able to live on $900 a month, which is what I'm trying to do. I haven't quite gotten there yet, but I am working on cutting my expenses every month so that someday I can live on $900 a month.